Happy Freedom Day. It is still Juneteenth as far as I'm concerned. We'll celebrate throughout the weekend. And one way we do that is with our Freedmen Fridays. Freedmen Fridays focuses on reparations, the conversation every week at this time on the topic of reparations, educating ourselves to know more about it, celebrating the incredible momentum in this area, something I didn't expect to see on this level in my lifetime, and making sure we are part of the solution and part of the educated conversation about it. I am being joined this morning by two very special guests. First I'll introduce activist and mama, the founder and president emerita, and elder griot of the Community Healing Network. That's the only organization focused exclusively on mobilizing Black people to heal from and extinguish the root cause of global anti-Blackness, the lie of white superiority and Black inferiority. She also serves as co-lead, along with Dr. Joy DeGruy, of the Healing Working Group of the Global Circle for Reparations and Healing. And she's conceptualized and helped organize the Circle's 2025 Summit on Centering Healing Across Global Africa. Dr. Enola G, good morning.
Good morning to you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's great to have you on. Looking forward to this conversation. We're also, they're kind of a team, a 1-2 punch, if you will, a punch in the sense of healing. She's got a Bachelor of Science in Communications, a master's degree in social work, a master's degree in clinical psychology, and a PhD in social work research. She's a nationally and internationally renowned researcher and educator. And for more than 2 decades, she served as assistant professor at the Portland State University School of Social Work, now president and chief executive officer of her own company, Joy DeGruy Publications. Dr. Joy DeGruy is joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to hear your voice once again, Dr. DeGruy.
Yes.
And lovely to have you on for the very first time, Dr. Airdate. So I'll start with you, Dr. Airdate, since I've never had the chance to talk with you before. When we talk about reparations, a lot of time on this show, we're talking about laws that are being passed, commissions that are set up, studies that are underway to determine the harms of slavery and the subsequent harms of Jim Crow and all of the badges and remnants of that, from a money standpoint, from a policy standpoint. But you are focused on another aspect of repair, correct?
Yes, we are focused on emotional reparations, if you want it, the way we like to refer to it. And that is healing from the psychological and the physical legacies of enslavement and colonialism, and their root cause, the lie of white superiority and Black inferiority. I think it's really important for us to understand that the kind of enslavement that our ancestors were forced into was unique in human history. It really was one that made the entire continent of Africa and all African people in perpetuity inferior. That was the intention. And the instrument for this perpetual inferiority was this lie of white superiority and Black inferiority, which we see at work even today. And so we are intent, Dr. DeGruy and I, and all of the people at the Global Circle for Reparations and Healing, at getting to the root cause and finally mobilizing our people globally to attack that root cause, get rid of it so that we can be really and truly free. Juneteenth was a kind of freedom granted, but we're talking here about the freedom that we take for ourselves by freeing our minds and our spirits finally.
Dr. DeGruy, of course, your groundbreaking book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, opened up a lot of conversations that people were not willing to have, and in some cases are still not willing to have, about the real behavioral changes, the real psychological and social impacts of being enslaved for so long, and all of this, and of course that applies to all of the things that came after, right? So when you talk about emotional reparation or repair, is that something that society has to do with us or for us, or is that something that's solely our own responsibility?
Well, not only is it our responsibility, we are the only ones that can. And so when we start looking at this whole idea of repair, we have to also look at it in the context of our gifts, right? Our ability to really strive and thrive in spite of it, right? But I think in terms of the actual work, the work has to be done on all levels, on the level of the individual, on the level of the family, on the level of the community, on the level of society, very clearly. And also, it's not separate from and can never be separated from the results of the exploitation materially. I mean, these are not either or, they're and. And what we would submit to you is that in order for us to fully embrace this repair, this notion of reparations, we have to begin to look at what we have internalized that shows up in what we, Dr. Enola and I, talk about as unhealed behavior. We cannot move forward with unhealed behavior that we may or may not know exists. So first it is to know, and then it is to do. And part of our work is really looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, you're always super specific, and I'd love to hear, Dr. DeGruy, an example of what you mean when you talk about unhealed behavior.
Well, I think Dr. Enola can also weigh in on this. We spent a lot of time looking at it. And I think what happens, and again, this is not about, let me be very clear, this is not about pathologizing Black people. It's about looking at behaviors that are not productive, that we've never really interrogated or thought about, really. So if you were to start looking at some of the ones that are out there that people know when I talk about post-traumatic, but I want to get into how we engage with one another, how we literally engage with one another, the nature of competitiveness, the harshness that shows up sometimes when what we, Dr. Enola and I talk about putting the I before the we. You know, it's like what I want, what I need, and feeling threatened by each other instead of literally encouraging, supporting, and celebrating, delighting in the success of each other. We are often threatened by it, and we become our own worst enemies in that way. And so that was one of the things that we talk about, even when we sit in a room and we gather together. And Dr. Enola, you can certainly weigh in on that.
You know, we think about what is the crime against the humanity of African people for which we seek reparations and which we ourselves must repair and heal from. And I think the at the heart of the crime against our humanity was what it did, what enslavement did, what colonization did, what global anti-Blackness has done to our ability to love and trust ourselves and to love and trust each other. That has undermined our communities, undermined our families, and it is that level of love and trust of ourselves and each other that we're seeking to go back to recover when we talk about emotional reparations, when we talk about healing.
And Dr. Enola, I mean, where does that start? It seems like such a big undertaking, right? Regain our love and trust for one another. Yes,
it's a big undertaking, but it is a must. Healing, repair is really the key to Black empowerment. We really, we sometimes wonder, we kind of keep running and we keep staying in the same place, right? That we believe firmly that healing is the key. Healing is the key to our physical, psychological, social, economic, and political empowerment. And this is why we issued this declaration, the Global Circle for Reparations, which is a group of people from across global Africa, from the United States, South America, Europe, and the continent, recognizing finally that this global anti-Blackness has done incredible harm. There needs to be a reckoning. There needs to be a recognition of that harm and time taken to heal. And so how do we begin? We begin by recognizing it. We begin by, as Dr. Joy and I always say, naming the elephant in the room, that we do have, as a result of our conditioning, unhealed behavior that so often undermines our health and our well-being, our physical health and well-being, our relationships with one another, the well-being of our community, and even our ability to work effectively together. We know there have been a number of ruptures that have arisen during this struggle for reparations, right? Because one of the big questions is trust. How do Black people trust each other? Well, it's the heart of the crime against our humanity. We've got to heal that in order to be able to move forward on any issue, including reparations, but anything that would advance our common interest.
Dr. Enola and Dr. Joy are my guests, and it is a Freedmen Friday. I'm looking forward to so much of this talk, a really holistic or whole person, whole community, whole globe approach to repair reparations. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, call the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It does, and I'm so honored to have our guests for this Freedmen Friday, excuse me, Dr. Joy DeGruy and Dr. Enola G. And we're talking about an aspect of reparations that we haven't spoken as much about. And the two of you have been taking part, or actually creating a tour, right? You've been going around talking about this, and partly in connection with Juneteenth. Dr. Ayer, do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Well, yes, we issued this declaration grew out of a summit, a really groundbreaking summit that brought Black people together from across the world on the continent in Accra, Ghana, in March, in connection with the African Union theme of the year for 2025, which is reparations. The African Union is very much focused on this issue, and it includes the issue of healing. And what we wanted to do was to zero in this summit on what does healing look like? What are we talking about when we talk about sort of the restoration of our minds, bodies, and spirits after this almost 500-year plus journey of a very sad and painful, tragic journey that we have been on. But yet our strengths are so incredible, and the retentions that we have from our Africanness are available to us to help us recover and help us revive ourselves as a people. And so we wanted to bring this issue up on Juneteenth because Juneteenth, yes, is the place and the time when people in the United States celebrate freedom. But for us, it was freedom granted, freedom given by someone else. And what we wanted to do was to use this to highlight the fact that we've come some way and we still have a long way to go. And that way to go has to do with our own claiming and our own freedom, giving ourselves our own freedom. And that we think needs to happen through healing. We have to heal from 500 plus years of degradation and oppression, of having a hierarchy of human value that placed whiteness at the top and blackness at the bottom, and blackness sometimes not even in the circle of humanity. That is real, and that has had effects. It is amazing what we've been able to accomplish with the weight of that on our shoulders and in our minds and bodies and spirits. But I want us to all think and invite us to all think how much more we will be able to accomplish and our children will be able to accomplish when we free ourselves from this legacy.
Bob Marley used to say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Indeed. Dr. Joy DeGruy, you want to build on that?
Absolutely. And what I think that we did a number of summits. The first summit, which occurred in 2022, was also in Ghana. It's what we call the Accra Summit 1. And in fact, the president showed up and also not only acknowledged the need for reparations, but dealt with a huge elephant in the room, and that to what degree Africans were complicit with the enslavement, though it be forced complicity, and we learned a lot when we were there. And the summit that actually came before that one was in Bellagio, Italy, where there was an opportunity to go to the Vatican and to address the Catholic Church. And at that moment in time, there was another acknowledgement, because there can't be, because it's written into the actual canons, what was done to Africa and Africans. And the acknowledgement that reparations is long overdue. The bishop that was there basically acknowledged and owned it. So the world, this is something that we have to take a look at from a global reality. The idea that the greatest weapon any oppressor has is the minds of the oppressed. And what Dr. Enola and I are interrogating is us. What do I need to do? What do I need to do, not just with me, but those in my environment? What do we want to pass along very intentionally to our children and those around us? So this is about repair that is looking at something on a collective level in a way that it's never happened before. And looking at these 3 summits where people came together from every walk of life, understand that the greatest power has to do with bringing people together. The one thing that, the oppressor is banking on is our inability to do that.
Yeah.
And this is about us doing that.
Okay, so we've got somebody in the chat. His name is Jesse Paris. He calls himself FBA. We know some of the division that's come out of the Tariq Nasheed FBA movement, and just between African Americans or Black Americans and what you're calling global Africa. And, I think there's a legitimacy to recognizing the specificity of the Black American struggle and our, the achievements, resilience, names of our specific ancestors. I do worry about the division that comes out of that. But what he's responding in the chat to what you said about the role that some Africans played in complicity in the slave trade. And he says exactly, so they need to pay us as well. And that talking point is getting a lot more popular, that Africa needs to pay reparations to African Americans. So when you say you learned a lot, and I know from my own travels to Africa that there's levels to this. How do you respond to what Jesse's saying there?
Absolutely. And that was what was most refreshing. We had that talk. That one that everyone on the continent had, it's kind of been, again, the hugest elephant in the room. You can't have that many people have that drain on a continent and not have some level of complicity. That's not even possible. And hence the president saying that Africa owes reparations. This is not about an intellectual just banter and offering. And again, Africa's a big place, right? It's a really big place.
54 countries.
And so when we start looking at, we were in Ghana, and here is a sitting president that's saying he will offer reparations in the form of, citizenship, in the form of land ownership, homesteading, understanding that there needs to be a righting of that wrong, and to invite the diaspora back. The year of return. Again, all of these things are their beginnings, but they're not. This is not an either or. Absolutely, we have to recognize what our ancestors here and in other parts of the world, in the Caribbean and in Brazil, those who suffered immediately and directly as a result of this. We look at that. We cannot forget or somehow look at that in the same light. At the same time, what we never had a conversation about is what happened in Africa. You can't lose those people and not create an assaultive wound in Africa, which we've never had a conversation about.
Africa itself is owed reparations. And remember, we did not, the African people who were, as you might say, complicit. It was a particular kind of complicity because they did not imagine, nor could they have imagined, the kind of enslavement that they were selling their brothers and sisters into. They understood enslavement. Yes, that was of a particular kind that had existed in human history up until that point. But what happened in European enslavement as a result of the trafficking of African human beings was really, again, unique in human history. It's where people become chattel. It's where people become less than human, in the category of animal. And this idea of subhumanness has a multi-generational effect and impact. This is why we continue to suffer today, in many ways, as our ancestors did, because of this caste implementation, in a sense. The idea that you are inferior and your descendants will be inferior.
Yeah, we're just.
And I think another.
Go ahead, Dr. DeGruy.
Another part to that, when I say I learned a lot, we all learned a lot, is dealing with African scholars, that we have to have a conversation about enslavement on the continent.
Yeah,
what did that look like?
Right. So we're right up against news, traffic, and sports. Jesse is punching back saying, how is Africa owed reparations when they participated in the slave trade? Whose babies were being stolen, though, Jesse? If your baby is stolen and you are the descendant of that baby, there's obviously harm there, too. It's not just that they participated in the harm. They also were harmed. I mean, so, yeah, that's why I say there's levels to it. But we're going to continue this conversation with our incredible guests, Dr. Joy DeGruy and Dr. Enola, aired when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports, only right here.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mimi Brown with BIN News Now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is greeting a flight from Israel this morning as it landed at Tampa International Airport.
Florida citizens were there and they needed to be rescued.
Tampa International Airport expects more Jewish Americans will be arriving today on evacuation flights from the Middle East. The war in Israel and Iran is now in its second week. The conflict began last Friday when Israel attacked Iran in an effort to keep it from developing nuclear weapons. Iran claims its nuclear program is peaceful and retaliated by returning fire at Israel. Federal agents are under growing scrutiny after the arrest of U.S. citizen Adrian Martinez in Los Angeles. Martinez was taken into custody Wednesday after confronting agents during an operation in a Walmart parking lot. A viral video shows agents slamming him to the ground. While officials claim he punched agents 2 times, newly released security video shows no punches were thrown. Get BIN News 24/7 on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers may be the first sports organization to rise up against the immigration raids ordered by Trump. When agents from the Department of Homeland Security pulled up to Dodger Stadium Thursday morning asking for access to the parking lot, Dodger security personnel told them no. The caravan of ICE agents tried another gate entrance and were denied there as well. LAPD officers were called to Dodger Stadium to keep peace. There were no incidents. The ICE agents were told they could not stay on the property and eventually left the stadium by noon. Thursday night's game between the Dodgers and San Diego Padres was not affected. The Dodgers have a lot of Hispanic and Latino fans who attend their home games. The workforce at Dodger Stadium also features a large number of Hispanics and Latinos. Big props to the Dodgers for standing up for their people. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom?
KBLA Talk 1580. It's a Freedmen Friday. And we are talking with Dr. Enola Aird, activist mama, lawyer, and founder and president emerita of the Community Healing Network. We are talking with Dr. Joy Angela DeGruy. She's got a master's degree in clinical psychology, a PhD in social work research, and a internationally renowned researcher, educator, and author. And so the debate, I'll say, in the chat on YouTube is fired up right now, Dr. Joy DeGruy, about whether we as descendants of enslaved persons, particularly Black Americans, should have responsibility for healing ourselves. Robert Red is saying he doesn't like that narrative. And I believe I heard you say that we are the only ones that can heal ourselves. So explain what you mean by that.
So, first of all, I think we have to, I'm hearing people say, well, they and we, and we're not a monolith. We aren't. I mean, we are a people like anyone else with unique, distinct characteristics on every level, from individual to group. So it's really, when I say that we are responsible for our own healing, that is an absolute truth. That's true on any level for anybody. And I think that when we look at the debate, and I'm okay with the debate because it has some real validity, some reality there. However, one of the things that I think has to be resisted, and that tendency to break it down before it's born, to begin to assault the idea. We got a long way to go with this. But I do know for certain that we have to not always agree, but be willing to take a look to resist kind of tearing things apart. What Dr. Enola and I have recognized in the work that we've been doing is the distrust and the fractioning that happens so quickly. Absolute valid points, absolutely true in terms of the experience of being part of the enslaved here and abroad, and then looking at what happened in Africa. Very, very different realities that existed there. And I'm saying we don't really have a full understanding of either of those. This is so new to our having this even having the conversation. And all you have to do is step back, pause, and look at other groups throughout the world that have experienced extreme events, and that there is a part of a collective understanding that we can get through this. And part of it is recognizing that there can be some changes and some differences that show up among us, but certain things are very clear. Healing is critical. However, wherever you want to look at it. Now, when we start looking at reparations is a big thing. Reparations deals with not only the emancipation from mental slavery, but give me back what you took. Right. There's a movement on the continent to try to get stolen artifacts, stolen land, all of those things are not separate. They're a collective reality. And if we look at, when I was there, when I was my third trip to Ghana, I'm listening to people talk about folks going to the edge of the beach and praying that the ships came back and brought their loved ones. How long and how much harm and how much just brutality that occurred there that we never had that conversation about. The other thing we didn't have the conversation about was the impact of colonialism, which really impacted this whole industry because there were colonial laws of conquering that we learned about that required, for example, the conquered, unless you would lay down, a lot of people would be beheaded because they refused this, but those that were trying to survive and to save their people and their villages, they said, we need you to make certain you give us 100 people. Now, that was not even known of in Africa. That was a colonial law, which was a one-time thing, which became a yearly thing, which became, well, of course, something much more horrific. But the point is, we don't know a lot.
If I could, Dr. DeGruy, I just wanted to refer to the Declaration on this question of African complicity. And one of the things that the Declaration says is that contrary to popular narrative, the trafficking of Africans was not initiated by Africans, and Africans were not the primary beneficiaries of this horrific system, and that such complicity as there might have been was a forced complicity. That's what you're talking about now. We're persuaded that the transatlantic trafficking of Africans was fueled by a cruel European agenda that caused severe damage to all Africans that urgently needs healing.
Yeah. I'm actually about to embark on a trip to Ghana. This will be my third time. And I was surprised to hear our docent at the Cape Coast slave dungeons really talk about that complicity in an apologetic way. I got chills when I went to the Asante castle and saw those guns and the dates on them of when they got those guns, knowing what they probably paid for them with. However, I think it's fair to state that, it is over. Now it's overemphasized. I want to... Man, there's so much to cover here. I wish I had another 2 hours. But I want to talk about this idea of self-healing, and maybe you can take this on first, Dr. Enola, which is that self-healing doesn't mean that nobody else has work to do. But when you talk about our psychological wholeness, our mental health and well-being, there is work we have to do. And I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that we are stuck in a reactive or victim mentality? Is that part of what we have to deal with?
No, I don't think so. I think acknowledging reality, which is that you have been wounded, we have been wounded. If you have an injury, you can't just ignore the injury, even if it is an injury that's over 500 years old. It might be argued that we've been ignoring it for far too long. But certainly now, it's well past time for us to deal with it. I mean, I think it speaks to just how strong we are, how resilient.
Right. I mean, right. I always want to identify as a victor, not a victim, even if I have been subject to a crime.
We are resilient. We have been doing amazing work. As I said earlier, think how much we've accomplished as we have borne this burden. But it has been a burden, and we're not going to deny that, because that would be not telling the truth. The truth is that we have been wounded by this system, by this global system of anti-Blackness that begins with enslavement, that continues to colonization, that goes through Jim Crow and apartheid, and the constant and the root of that has been this idea that Black people are inferior. And that runs through, it's a thread that runs through the fabric of systemic anti-Blackness. That is the injury. That's the continuing injury. But we have to deal with it. And a healthy person says, I've been wounded, I'm going to get well. And what we're saying in this document is that as an entire community of Africans and African descended people, it is time, well past time, for us to do the work of getting well, fully well.
Dr. Joy DeGruy, what about the idea, and some have been arguing this on my social media, that white people are also emotionally and mental health-wise damaged by the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow, and that they also need healing?
I think that's probably very accurate. Okay, of course. No one can be engaged in such a dehumanizing institution, which then mutated into a systemic problem where I think there is an inherent dis-ease that goes on with white people. I look at what has happened and realize that none of us have really dealt with this. There are people, and again, I really believe that healing needs to happen. I really believe that injury is there. My work is very, very laser focused on people of African descent and even other people of color. I think that work needs to be done, but I can't wait for it. I can't, I can't wait on it to happen. I have to look at the futures of our children, grandchildren. We have to do it. And so the other piece to this that I keep hearing is, while we are able to see injury in other people, it is so difficult for us not to see injury in ourselves, and then that not be looked at as some form of inferiority or inherent defect. No, somebody hurt me, hit me. Okay. And they need to stop hitting me. And the other thing, I'm not going to have to stop you from hitting me, and also have time in there to heal myself from the assault. And if you look at it, that's never happened. Now, yes, we are an incredible people, resilient. Look at what we've been able to do, no doubt. But there's still, even now, as we wrestle with this question of repair, which is in itself being interrogated, when nobody can look out into our communities, with our families, with our groups, with what we've been able to achieve going 5 steps forward, 10 steps back, because this is systemic. This is not a little thing. No, and no matter how much I heal, let's be clear about that. I can heal. I can get a real good sense of who I am. I can begin to engage with other people that look like me in a way that is mature and that is productive. But that's not going to help if the assault is still happening. And so these things cannot happen in vacuums. These things have to happen. I have to, begin to look at how I've been impacted, how I've responded, whether that's distrust of other Black people, anger, however it shows up. But I also have to take a look at if this is being exacerbated by a continuing assault when I go to work, when I go to school. I mean, you can't look at this country right now and not recognize that we're having a whole nother level of assault. That most of our children, those of us my age, we know what it is we're looking at. But we're talking about children that grew up where we are the world. And now we're looking at a system that's not just trying to push us back, but push us all the way back. And we have to be able to read that reality and give useful tools for navigating it. And we can't do that if we pretend it isn't there.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, we need that.
We're talking with Dr. Enola Aird and Dr. Joy DeGruy. It is a Freedmen Friday, a reparations conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominic DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
New Always Pocket Flex Foam will change the way you think about pads. Get full-size protection in a surprisingly tiny pack that fits right in your purse or pocket. Perfect for life on the go. With up to 0 leaks, 0 feel, and 0 bunching, you'll forget you're even wearing a pad. And Always Pocket Flex Foam is designed to adapt to your body, so you can move freely and confidently throughout your day. Experience the future of period protection with new Always Pocket Flex Foam. Pick up your pack today.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're talking with Dr. Joy DeGruy and Dr. Enola Aird. We are talking reparations, healing, what you started out calling emotional repair. And time flies when you're on the radio. So let's start off finding out where we can access the document, how we can follow your work.
Absolutely. It's GCRH.org, GCRH.org for Global Circle for Reparations and Healing.
GCRH.org. Now, if we're talking about a roadmap, I mean, because people have their own takes, and I'm glad the conversation is so robust in the chat and online and everywhere else. But if, let's say, I'm committed to trying to be part of this collective healing for myself and or my family, where's the roadmap for that? Does such as that exist?
People are different, as Dr. DeGruy has said. They're just, people come to these things from different points of view. And so part of what we're wanting to do is to develop a clearinghouse, a global clearinghouse of resources that people can access. There is a local and national and international movement already bubbling up. We simply want to help build the infrastructure to make sure that becomes sustainable, that movement becomes sustainable, and that we are able to make sure that we get healing resources to our people wherever they are.
In addition to that, I think in answer to how people can plug in, obviously those resources are out there in terms of others that are doing this work all over the country, actually. I think what I would ask people to do is to consider the two things that we are using as we move forward. One is Ubuntu, and the other is Albona, and that is to be able to look at the we and to also see each other's humanity, to see each other in a real way, in a whole way. And to move in that way, because this is what, I have great hope in spite of all the assaults, because, they're coming after us. But the bottom line is that has never stopped us from being able to excel. And I want to say that you can do in your own environment, working with people in your community, literally what my daughter would say, beaming love and light into the faces of children that you see. All of us have a part to play in uplifting each other and engaging with each other. And, and again, agreeing to disagree, but not be fractured. In other words, we don't all have to agree on everything, but we can't allow that disagreement to cause further fracturing. Do what you can where you are. This is the lane that Dr. Enola and I are in. Everyone has a lane. I'm saying get in it, stay in it, and do your part. and that's what I'm saying.
Dr. Enola, you want to add on to that, build on to that?
I think that the time has come. The signs are everywhere that Dr. Joy and I have looked. The fact that so many African people are coming together, are saying that we've gone as far as we can go without doing this work. And so I am beyond confident that, yeah, we're going to have some challenges, but we're going to be able to do this work and deliver to our children fully healed adults. You know, the UN Permanent Forum for People of African Descent met in New York in April. And I was in a meeting when a young Panamanian woman came up and she said, you know, we need you, Black adults, but we need you to be healed. Our children need us.
Yeah.
We can't put this off any longer.
I was struck, Dr. DeGruy, when you said beaming love and light at the kids as they're growing up. And I'm thinking about the moment we're in now, where there's so much fear, right, because of the moves that are being made by the administration in Washington. How do you stay in a love and light place? How do you stay in a healing and progressing place? How do we do so, or how do I do so in the face of this this widespread fear and freak out that's happening at the moment?
You know, someone asked me something similar to that. I was doing some work in Amsterdam, believe it or not. I mean, working with Black folks there, doing work, and just got back from Paris, doing work there, recognizing these Black communities and its history. And someone asked me, they said, why do you have hope? They asked me that. Why do you have hope? And I first of all, no one had ever asked me that so straightforward. And my response is, I am the hope. I am a reflection of that hope. Are you kidding me? We are that hope.
I love that. I am the hope. Dr. Enola, is there a part 2 to that?
There's a part 2 because our ancestors and our children are waiting.
Our ancestors and our children. We are the spiritual sandwich generation. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we are. We got a responsibility.
Yes.
But we have our ancestors behind us. We can do this. We can do this, and we must for our children.
And I'm serious about that beaming love and light, because we have children. I'll look at little kids sometime, and they have a frown on their face, and it's 7:30 in the morning. And I'll look at them and I'll go, I'll make them smile. I say, I see it in there. And sometimes that may be the first smile they had that whole day. And I think that we underestimate how important that is.
Yeah.
And I think it's important on the individual level, but we also have a responsibility to do it on a global level. We've got to make it.
I mean, how do you
make that
foster a global smile? Like, how do you do that, Dr. Airdate?
Well,
here's the thing.
Every single.
Go ahead.
It's a global movement. I want you to know that global Africa is alive. Everyone is on top of this thing. And I don't worry so much about what I can do beyond what I can do. But I recognize that this education, let me say this loud and clear, do not expect the institutions that have been built on oppression, built on a notion of supremacy, to educate your children or you. I'm sorry, I have 4 degrees. Let me say this, 4 degrees, 3 advanced degrees. They did not teach me what we're talking about here. None of them.
And it's also we want to be very, very clear. The Declaration has a very clear plan of action of what we're setting out to do. We're not pie in the sky. We have clear plans of what we're going to do. It's going to happen.
Speaking it into existence, we only got 2 minutes here. But when I look at the crisis of the unhoused and what seems from my eye view to be a mental health crisis for Black Americans in on these streets, maybe not just us, but certainly us. I keep asking myself, why are we here? Why are we here? Have we reached critical mass in terms of what we can take, or is it the darkness before the dawn? How do you see it, Dr. DeGruy?
I see it in both ways. I think that we are looking at, the fire is at the door. I don't know what more we need to see, and I think we're dangerously underestimating that fire. But at the same time, I know we have come through far worse. We have come through far worse, and we will come through this. But again, looking at all of these layers, when I tell you everyone needs to plug in, wherever you are, that thing you're seeing, that the unhoused, is all over the place. Mm. And what we have to recognize, it's not either or, it's and. We have to take along however many we can. We have to do the work, but we can't sit back and expect someone else to do it, because they're not. Mm. There's a disincentive to do it. So we have to do it.
Dr. Aird, you want the last 30 seconds here?
I have hope.
she did it in 10. All right. Dr. Joy DeGruy and Dr. Enola Aird, thank you so very much. I would encourage everyone to go to gcrh.org. I got a lot more reading to do there myself, gcrh.org. Happy Freedom Day, happy Juneteenth, and thank you for joining us on a Freedman Friday.
Thank you very much for having
us. Rap artist and pot stirrer Jay French, Jaguar French, is next. You ready for that? KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mimi Brown with BIN News Now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is greeting a flight from Israel this morning as it landed at Tampa International Airport.
Florida citizens were there and they needed to be rescued.
Tampa International Airport expects more Jewish Americans will be arriving today on evacuation flights from the Middle East.